Welcome, everyone, to the Unlock Your Entrepreneurial Edge conference. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with an incredible Stephanie Nelson, a true embodiment of creativity, entrepreneurship, and purpose-driven living. With over 2 decades of experience turning dreams into reality, Stephanie has built thriving businesses, cultivated passive income streams, and inspired individuals to embrace their uniqueness and pursue lives they love. After successfully running her own cleaning company for 20 years, Stephanie transitioned to an exciting new chapter in 2023, relocating to a picturesque Christmas tree farm in Michigan. Her current ventures, including her farm enterprise, 5.5 North, and her Wise Words book club, showcase her passion for creativity, connection, and personal growth. Whether she's curating unforgettable experiences, hosting events, or penning heartwarming stories, Stephanie's mission is clear: to empower dreamers to take bold steps toward their best lives. Please join me in welcoming Stephanie Nelson.
Well, thank you, Deb, for that marvelous introduction. My journey's definitely been an adventure. I love the word adventure, so that's a good way to describe it. The pivotal moment came when I realized, I think both my husband and I realized that the cleaning business, even though it was very successful, it just no longer aligned with the personal visions that we had, the vision that I had for my family and myself, should I say. So for 20 years, I'd been building a business that I loved at the time, but I felt deep down a pull of something that would be more intentional, connecting me with all of my passions. I didn't know what that meant, but the transition started when we sold our business and our home in Illinois. We sold our home first. Didn't know how that was going to happen. Didn't need to know. Just knew that I wanted to be here on this Christmas tree farm that I would only get to come to a few times a year and be sad when I left. So, so what that taught me about in terms of bold steps, because that's definitely was the boldest move I've ever had in my life, is that it's not easy, but life has a way of rewarding you when you align with your actions and your values. And so for me, that was prioritizing my family, my authenticity, learning about myself and what that meant for me, and the joy of building something meaningful from the ground up. So taking this leap has taught me that reinvention isn't about really leaving behind past successes. It's about building on them that reflects on your current vision. So the lesson that I carry forward is in everything that I do, especially as I continue 5.5 North and the business of intentional living, is taking those leaps and remembering to align with the passions and visions.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like you've done a lot. I mean, that was a lot that you did there. And you talked about one of your passions is helping others design lives they love. What are 3 actionable strategies you'd recommend for someone looking to align with their work and their passions?
Absolutely. So, helping others design lives they love is something I'm passionate about, just because I believe that every person is unique and every person has more than one passion per se. But I think where people struggle is finding where or how that works. So, the 3 strategies I'd recommend is number one, we're going to get clear on your values and your vision. And so you can start by doing that by asking yourself, what truly matters to me? What kind of life do I want to create? When you start answering those questions, the clarity helps filter out your opportunities. And it will also help you align with your passions. Number 2 is going to be start small, but start now. That's a big one. You know, you don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. My cleaning business took 20 years. And then through that process, it probably took me another 10. So, anyways,
I like
I
that.
got constantly
Start
building.
start small, but start now. That's a good one.
Yeah. And then also, we know this, realizing the power of networking and learning new skills, because you're going to have to do that too. But, anyways, number 2, start small, start now. Number 3 is going to be embracing fear as part of the process. This is something I know a lot about. I think any entrepreneur does. Once you make fear your friend and recognize what it is and what it will get you to new heights in your business and personal life, and you're going to know that fear is a natural part of growth. So when you feel it, you're not going to say, oh my gosh, it's too overwhelming, I just quit, you know. But that's the key to moving forward. Like, bold steps don't just lead to new opportunities, they help you grow into the person that will be able to seize those opportunities. So with those three things, we say get clear on your values and your vision, start small, but start now, and embrace fear as part of the process.
I like that. Well, you've also talked about you've built multiple streams of passive income around your interest. Can you share a step-by-step approach for identifying and developing a profitable passion project?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the first thing, the most important thing is discovering your zone of genius. And we use zone of genius for just, I guess, a broad term, but list out all of the things that you love doing. So you're going to start by identifying what you love to do, the things that you're naturally good at. And then the second part of that is, once you write all those down, you wrote down your sweet spot, your passions, your skills, the market demand, all that works. Okay. So then you're going to say, I guess you're going to combine your interests of intentional living with your business model.
Mhm.
So you're going to identify what you love doing, what you're naturally good at, take those things off the list, and then start seeing if they can be a viable business model.
What if you have no idea what you're good at?
Yeah, no, that's great. I love that. Most people don't. I mean, they're like, I'm not good at this or I'm not good at that. Yes, you are. You're very good at it. And I think the problem is because we're just naturally attuned to say, oh, for instance, it's like Stephanie, she just talks too much. Ever since I was little, she talks, she talks, she talks. I do. But that's a good thing, because the gift of gab is just that. You can reach people through talking. You're good at writing. That's awesome. Write that down. You can reach people by writing. You love gardening. Perfect. People need fresh grown vegetables, or, the next apothecary thing. But the thing is, you're going to have to learn new skills through there, but we all have things that we're good at. And that's what makes it fun. And I had a friend who told me once, she says, do everything you want and nothing you don't. And I thought, well, there's a lot of things in building a business we don't want to do or we don't know how to do. But it makes sense to me in discovering your passions, because if you ask yourself that question, do everything I want, do everything I love. Okay, I love gardening. But then you hear yourself say, oh, but I don't really like having to get up early and water the garden you have the other 10 reasons why you shouldn't do it. It could be one of two things. It could be you're not meant to do that as a way to make money, or you're stopping yourself before you start, which is a whole nother thing. But you're naturally good at certain skills. Some people are naturally good at taking care of other people, or they love to take care of other people.
Sure.
They love to garden. Write down all of those things. There's for me, I think what makes it work is I love to explore and I love to grow on the ideas that I've already had. So the way I know if something isn't going to work is by trying it. It doesn't bother me if it's not for me, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's a good idea. Just go ahead
Yeah.
and try it. And then if you discover that you don't like it or if it's not working out, then let it go and go on to the next thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, we're gonna with the passive incomes and the interest, you're gonna discover your zone of genius. You might already know that. That's great. But then the second step is going to be in validating your idea. I this this step, I kind of challenge you to be careful on, to a certain extent, because you're validating your idea. One of the things most people will be is going to be talking to family or friends. And so when I say validate your idea, what I'm meaning is potential customers, online communities, surveys, if there's an interest for those things. For me, and the farm in particular, I know that this area has a high demand for outdoor activities, not just in the summer, in the winter, in the fall, because I live in a touristy area. So that is where, when my idea for the farm and this, and this all came together, it's because I already know that there's a high demand for those things. So I'll search out other businesses that do, sell Christmas trees or have Christmas parties or do picnics or whatever it is,
Mhm.
to validate, versus talking to family and friends who may not intentionally, but stop you before the start because they don't understand where your idea is coming from.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point. I like that.
Yeah, and so the next thing would be, platforms. You really want to build your project on platforms that allow you to scale. There's so many different platforms out there. I feel like I'd be taking us down a rabbit hole if I started naming them off. But what
Yeah.
I'm going to say is digital projects, eBooks, courses, printables, you can reach a wide audience with minimal overhead. That was the point on virtual leverage scalable platforms. Yeah. And then if you're like creating physical products, you can outsource like Etsy. I know I mentioned a platform, but there's just so many of them out there. But do your research on your platforms and what's best in terms of that.
Yeah, maybe
I
just start. You said start small, so maybe just start with one that you
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, that's what I would recommend too. I feel like when it comes to the platforms, I know I've experienced it with the different businesses and different things. It can get a little overwhelming, and they're like, oh, one person say, oh, all Facebook's ads, all Instagram, all Etsy, all whatever it may be. But just start with one and take one small step and do something. That's it. They all build off
Mhm.
each other.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And then if you spend too much time on one, it can really, take you down a rabbit hole, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
you get so distracted, and then you find out later you didn't get anything else done that day. But so
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I stay out of the stay out of the rabbit hole, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I'm kind of giggling with that one just because I speak from, yes, speak from firsthand knowledge on that. Stay out of the rabbit hole, but just find a platform, get started. Usually using that, it's minimal overhead on whatever platform it is that you're using, but also realize that you have to be adaptable into learning things, and you don't have to necessarily reinvent the wheel, but when you're creating income streams, you will have to be a little bit diversified in that. And what I mean by that is once you get that platform picked and you start building it, let's say you start doing a post or you start doing a newsletter, well, then you can start doing email marketing, affiliate programs, content scheduling, things like that. It's just building off of it without completely reinventing the wheel. And I'll say that when you're building profitable passions, even 1 to 10, whatever, however many you have at a time, projects, they take focus and resilience and a willingness to adapt. So start small, but always be thinking big. And remember that the best projects are going to be the projects that bring both you and your audience value.
Well,
That's what
thank
I
you. Part of this summit is to help business entrepreneurs with increasing their profits, but also time freedom, and then also market domination. So when you say adapt, how important is it going to be in 2025 to be able to adapt and change? I mean, things are moving so fast. And so how do you find for you how to adapt and change with the changing times?
Well, number one, I'm always plugged into audio. I mean, I'm plugged into lots of education is what I'm trying to get at. Not just books, but seminars, masterminds, accountability groups. So those things definitely help because we can't know everything ourselves, right?
Sure.
um, so I'll give an example on a project I work on. You can outsource things easy breezy. That's an option too. I tend to be a little stubborn sometimes, so I like to know, like, I want to know what someone is doing for me. So be careful with that because you can get into what we just talked about. It can get you into a rabbit hole of, I want to know everything about Instagram, and it'll take you into, taking courses on just Instagram, which is not bad.
Yeah.
It's a good
And
thing.
and the way things are moving so fast, we don't have time to spend a couple of years learning a new course
No,
or learning everything you need to learn. And then by the time you learn it all, it changes so
it
fast.
does. It changes
Yeah.
constantly, just constantly. I mean, just an example, my daughter-in-law, she just graduated 4-year university for marketing. And I don't want to say what she learned is obsolete because it's not, but Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, I mean, all these things, like every day they change the way this works to reach this person, to reach that. So my advice would, number one, don't let it overwhelm you. It's, again, it goes back to the getting started. But B, if you don't know how to do something and you really don't, you don't have the time, or you don't want to have the time, I realize a lot of people are working part-time, full-time jobs. outsource. There's so many places to outsource that are affordable, and they do know what, they know what's going on, the latest trends, this, that, or the other. So
Sure.
it doesn't usually cost a lot. But that's my advice, is like to not, I don't want to go, don't go too far down the rabbit hole of trying to learn every single thing that you're doing,
Yeah.
because it changes rapidly and it can get frustrating.
And then you can focus on what you do well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, mindset is such a powerful part of your story. What practices or habits have you implemented to cultivate a growth-oriented mindset, and how have they impacted your success?
This is my favorite one because mindset is like everything I love to study about. Did not realize that when I, first started studying mindset. No idea how wonderful it was going to be, to the places it would bring me to. So mindset has truly been the foundation of everything. Even before I didn't even know it. It's accomplished. When you put it in terms of accomplishment, it's the foundation for everything I've accomplished, everything I'm going to accomplish. So I think a lot of people misunderstand when they think mindset, they think it's just thinking positive. And I thought that way. I really did. If I just have a positive affirmation, it'll all go away. No, there's a little bit more to it. I learned that through hiring, the coaching that we went through.
Mhm.
High-end coaching was the best thing that I ever invested in, because it took several months to get to the next level, to learn or be able to see where I was coming from. So anyways, it's all about embracing your challenges, learning from your setbacks, and then constantly striving to improve. And so here are a few things that I do on a daily basis. Number one is going to be daily reflection and gratitude. So every day I start my day with reflection of, and I'm focused on what I'm grateful for. And if you have trouble doing that initially, I think some people do, but it'll just be, gosh, I woke up today. Wow, it might be cold outside, but I can get up and put on warm clothes. And, so those are the ways with gratitude. Oh my gosh, I have hot coffee. I'm so grateful for hot coffee. So celebrating your small wins. And then that keeps me grounded. That reminds me to celebrate my small wins. And that's really crucial when you're facing big challenges. So gratitude shifts my perspective and keeps me motivated. Number two, we're going to be reframing challenges as opportunities. I could talk all day on this one, particularly in the last year. But that's not what we're here to do.
Well, you've had a lot of challenges, and so you have a lot of experience in challenges, but it's also brought you a lot of opportunities too.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head with that, because we don't always see that when we're facing a setback. It could be anything. It could be health, it could be financial, it can be anything. And I think for the last, well, I'm coming out of it now, but for a good year, I mean, it seemed like one after another. And I can't lie. It sounds easy to tell someone when you're going through it, just remember that you're going to see the good in that. That's frustrating, but it's honestly the truth. When you can build your mindset, and I promise that you will see the good in it when you look back. I can't tell a time frame for that. I don't know. Sometimes it's one day, sometimes it's the 150. Who knows?
Yeah.
But what I ask myself is, and I may not always get the answer like the second I ask it, but I'll ask, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this?
Mm.
And I'll give an example: transitioning from the cleaning business to starting a new chapter on a farm. I mean, there were countless obstacles for that. But instead of letting them discourage me, I saw them as opportunities. You were part of this conversation with me, Deb. Hope you don't mind me throwing you under the bus. But do you remember the question when, how many times did people say, how are you going to move, from Illinois to Michigan? And how are you going to run a business from another state? And did I have an answer for that?
Yes.
And we just, we were like, it's going to run just as smooth. But that was it. I just said, it's going to run just as smooth as possible, and
Right.
it did.
And why
So
not?
exactly.
And
Why
why
not?
can't it?
I know. Exactly. Why not? Why not? But
Yeah.
anyways, so that's the question. Ask yourself, why not? Reframe your challenges and your opportunities, because even though you might not see it right this second, your challenges are opportunities, and they are part of your growth, and you will see it if you look for it.
And also,
Um,
don't you think that no matter what the obstacle or what the challenge is or what the problem is, that somebody in the world has had that issue or problem and they've solved it? So
Definitely.
that gives you, so any of our entrepreneurs out there that are struggling and having challenges or having obstacles, you have to look at it as in that there are people that have solved it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there is a way. You just need to go after it and solve the problem or solve the challenge. And that knowing that I'm pretty sure somebody in the world has had that problem and has solved it.
Yeah, definitely. I have to keep that in mind because often I feel like when we get into our bubble, of just feeling like we're the only one, or oh gosh, nobody else is going to understand. How could they possibly understand? And that's
Yeah.
simply not true, like you just pointed out. So yeah, especially
Yeah.
in business, most people have been where you've been right now.
Yeah. And
So
the
I
challenges and the problems are never going to end. There, you're always going to have them, no matter, even when you reach all your goals and you're successful, you're just going to have different challenges. So
yes,
whether you're
absolutely.
starting out or whether you're already have all that growth, you're just going to have different obstacles, different challenges.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And I know like when it comes with how I meet those challenges when they come up is my next bullet point, but it's like continuous learning.
Hmm.
And I can't stress this enough. You have to embrace your growth as a lifelong process. And so in doing that, because you just kind of talked about that, you're always growing, you're always doing something. So the way I do that is I know I'm going to have another challenge. And I used to look at it as, oh, and sometimes I still do, but it's like, oh, I like this challenge right now. When I flip on the other side, it's like, no, this is a good thing. This means that you're growing and you stepped out of your comfort zone for a new challenge. So I love to read books. I listen to podcasts. I seek mentorship, learning from others' experiences. And one interesting thing is when you put it out there, to God, to universe, and you say, I really need people that know what I've been going through. Can you bring me people that understand me? You will always, always get an answer. That might come through somebody you bump into in the grocery store. It could be on a Facebook meeting. It could be a number of things, but your
Hmm.
answer will come to you, and you just have to trust that. So whether
Yeah,
it's
I
business
like that.
strategies or personal development, staying curious opens doors that I didn't even know existed through learning.
Oh,
It really is.
definitely. I like that because even the most successful person has partnerships or masterminds, or the coach needs a coach because you always are continuously, doing that learning that you talked about. And then you're always wanting to go to the next level. So that's so important. And I think that's a big one. That's a big one.
Yeah, it really, really is. I mean, one of my favorite things to do is to go to the bookstore and to have coffee. I love it. I love learning. I have many, you probably see some of my books here. I have books in every room. And it's not just books. I mean, this is like mastermind groups and,
Hmm.
you know, like meeting with like-minded people, understand your vision, it can help you grow, but one of my favorite things to do is to go to the bookstore and just, get my favorite coffee, walk around, and just pick whatever it is that I want to learn about. Last time
Hmm.
I went, I picked, I don't know, I think I have like 10 different books, but one was neuroscience, one was, and it's just fun. My son goes with me, he's what, 19, and he does the same thing. And we'll say, oh, mom, look at this or look at this. So now I learn about this, and this, make learning fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that. And just opening up all the different possibilities. And you talked a little bit about like-minded people. I think that is so important. What do you think about like being around the right people?
Yeah, that's a key to success in anything, any area of your life, friendships, marriage, whatever it may be. You are who you hang around with.
Yeah.
I tell this to my family. We evaluate these. You
Mhm.
really are the product. Was it the top five, I believe? But yeah, you have got to be around people on a consistent basis, not once a month. I mean, okay, I'll say speaking for me personally,
Mhm.
at least once a week. at least. And that's with somebody who's going to hold you accountable, that's going to understand, okay, what are your goals? They're not going to be light on you this week because, oh, well, it's like, no, somebody that knows will 110% know without
And
even telling you,
I
you,
like that.
you
And
know,
they push you. And
yeah,
they're
yeah,
not just going to say, "Oh, it'll be okay." No, 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 no. I need somebody that's going to push me and say no and not let me off of my own excuses or anything like that.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Accountability isn't going to let you up. And you have to find the person that works for you. Some people, it might, be a spouse or a friend, or, might be a business partner. You're going to find the person that works for you.
Yeah.
Um, and I know who mine is, but I also realize that the excuses that I would tell myself aren't going to fly with her. So it's that it's going to be okay, and all she has to say is okay. And I'm like, oh, because you don't even have to say you're disappointed. You just know.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's the type of connection I'm saying is that person is going to say, okay, you had a failure, but they're not going to feel sorry for you in the failure. It's going to say, you're right, that did happen. But let's see what we can make of this and how can we reshape it.
Yeah.
So then the people are there. They are. You just have to look for them.
Yeah, I like that. You need accountability partner, kind of like when, we're at the beginning of 2025 and how everybody has their New Year's resolution. If you don't have
Yeah.
anybody holding you accountable, pretty sure, I don't know what the statistics are, but pretty sure you're probably not going to, probably by the second week in January, the third week in January, you're already not doing what you set out to do. So
Yeah. I mean,
you need that
it's
accountability
important.
partner.
Definitely, definitely. I'd say it's one of the most crucial things is that and that's going to be somebody that's going to listen to your dreams and your goals without saying, oh, that's great. You have 4 business ideas here. And, but how are you going to get the money? How are you going to do it? No, an accountability, somebody that is capable of seeing the vision isn't never going to ask you how. They might be like, okay, do you have a business plan? Do you have this? That's a roadmap. That's a different thing. But they're not going to say, oh, Deb, you know what it would cost to buy your own jet? I mean, aren't you just kind of out there? Because then you have to, that's the
Yeah.
wrong person.
Yeah.
They're going to fly with whatever idea you have.
Yeah, that's right. I hear you there. You also talk a little bit about mindful action and intentional choices. What do you mean about that?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. So, every decision I make is grounded in my core values and my long term vision. This is something that takes time to sit down and write it out, and it may change, and that's okay. But what mine has taught me is to focus on what truly matters and let go of the things that don't align with my goals. So, that's a practice that's been both in my business and personal life. I use it both. What it does is it allows me to approach my life with confidence and clarity, and especially during times of uncertainty, right? I mean, we never know when those times are going to come.
Mm.
And I'll give you an example that allows me mindful actions, intentional choices allow me to celebrate and embrace my bold moves. And the example of that is selling that business that I ran for 20 years, starting a new life on the Christmas tree farm 3 states away,
Yeah,
and then creating.
those were bold, bold moves. And you have to have the courage to do that. And you did it. I mean, that those are bold steps.
Yeah, and but I suppose if you were just write on paper and somebody said, "Oh, that's bold," I don't think until I literally sat down and thought of the whole picture that I saw it that way, because I was just so excited about finally discovering an intentional me or an intentional self, and I think that that's unique to every person. But yeah, I didn't let anything get in my way when it came to that. It was like I made that decision and I said, no, this is what is going to happen. But the bad part of it was the downside. It's not a bad part. It's just when you're writing your goals and your visions and your dreams, and you don't always, well, actually, you never realize the timeline that's going to be delivered to you. So, in all of my writing and designing, and this is the way I want it to look, this is the way I want it to go, I stopped at a certain point. And that certain point was I sold the cleaning business. We live on the farm. I mean, and I had another business lined up, but I didn't keep going with that vision. So then I kind of stalled there for a minute. So that's kind of
Yeah.
important too, to just keep building your vision, keep going.
Yeah.
That also is
I
something
like
that
that.
yeah, I mean, I feel like that's, I feel like you can easily let go of those things if you don't have the proper support and mentors and the
I like the
learning.
way you had talked about, though, that your vision, you had the vision of selling the business and moving, and you had the vision of, going to the Christmas tree farm and that you were going to move there and live there and everything. But then you didn't have the rest of the vision after that. And
Right.
that's where you saw everything happen. And then you had that stalled growth
Yeah.
because you didn't finish the rest of the vision.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't continue the story. And
Yeah, I
so
like
it,
that. That's
yeah,
that's really great insight and could help a lot of people because you might have a vision for this year, but you need to have vision after that.
yeah, you
You
definitely
can't
do.
just be for 1 month or 6 months or you have to have the whole vision. So I like
Yeah.
that. Thank you for sharing that because I think that'll help. That'll help a lot of people.
Yeah, planning, continued planning. I don't even know if it's planning vision, but you still just have to have that, keep going with your story. And sometimes I think that can be a bit of a challenge. That's again that's going to bring me back to masterminds and reading and groups and growing because that these are the tools that you will have in your toolbox to teach you how to expand your vision and to keep growing in your vision. Those are the tools you'll need.
I like that. Well, your work with Five and a Half North combines your love for gardening, photography, and hosting events. What advice would you give to entrepreneurs looking to integrate personal passions into their business models?
That's an awesome question. I love it. The first answer I'm going to give to that is lead with authenticity. And what I mean by that is lead from the heart. Just be who you are. Lead with authenticity. And I say that because you're unique, your passions that you're going to turn into a multiple source MSI, multiple source of income, is going to be unique to you. So let that shine, let yourself shine, bring out you, what is unique to you.
Hmm.
For me, combining my love of gardening, photography, and hosting, because I always love to host, um, brought a personal, it felt personal and meaningful to me to be able to do things for other people. So when you design a business around what you enjoy, it's going to resonate with your audience and it's going to build a strong connection automatically. You don't have to try. And I guess a good example is going to be, when we were doing book club, one line, it was like a Wednesday and said, oh my gosh, I have a vision for seeing this many people in book club. No clue. I didn't sit down for hours and say, oh my gosh, well, I have to have this, and this in place first.
Hmm.
No, it was just, let's do this. What's the point? Well, because I want to bring this knowledge that we're reading in these books to as many people as possible so that they can be true to themselves and build, what is exciting to them? What is unique to them? What can they build? So yeah, that's leading with authenticity. I feel like when we did that, automatically those people just came to us. They were just listening. They were just engaged because our message completely resonated with them and where they needed to be, if that makes sense. It
Yes.
built a strong connection.
Yeah. And then you have no idea how many lives you were changing because we don't know the after effect of like them just listening or them reading the materials and how it changed their lives.
Exactly. We know how it changed ours from reading and just,
Hmm.
going back to all that. But yeah, so designing a business around what you genuinely enjoy, it's going to resonate with your audience and it's going to build a strong connection. And that's just going to happen. That's not something you have to force.
Yeah, I like that. And also it'll show in you because you're excited and passionate about it.
Yeah, it definitely shows. I don't think you can't fake being excited about something. I don't know, maybe you
Yeah.
can, but when you're genuinely excited and you just want to tell somebody something, it just comes out. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, you can't fake that inner,
no,
that you can just see it, that you're passionate about it. And when you
yeah,
meet somebody like that, or you're at a business and they have that, customers enjoy that and they can feel it. And
yes,
so they become your raving fans and they repeat, they come back and they come back because they can see it in you. and they can see your passion and it comes out
Yeah.
in the way you run the business and the way you interact and everything. So that is so important.
I agree. The next thing, I mean, look for overlaps between passion and value. And what I mean by that is, and this is important when we kind of just touched on it, but how can my passions solve a problem and bring joy to others? Every business idea you have is going to be solving a problem. So when you ask yourself that question, you'll get some answers in there, and then bring joy to others, which to me is not the same thing as value, but it falls in there in the category. But so, for example, my hosting events on the farm, that allows me to share the beauty of this farm and nature, which is what I love, while I'm creating memorable experiences for my guests. And that's the sweet spot, because the sweet spot's where what you love intersects with what people need. So be patient with yourself in finding it, but you'll find it. You'll know. It'll be a good feeling when you make your list.
Yeah, I like that. And then you're bringing joy to their experience and bringing that unforgettable experience. That's what the customer and the clients they love. They're like, wow. And then they will talk about it forever. Like, maybe going to your Christmas tree farm and having different events that you have at your Christmas tree farm, just knowing the joy that you're bringing to them, but then you're also giving them a lasting experience that they'll never forget. I mean,
Exactly.
how powerful is that?
It's
I,
very, very powerful. Yes,
yeah,
I love it. That's
that's exciting.
when I was making my list. I guess I'll back up a little bit. When I'm like, how can I bring, I asked myself a question: how can I bring the joy of what I feel on this farm to others? And then the answer just flew with me, because I've always loved to do, it just came, which is how things work still. But I've always loved to do like family events, but personalized family event. What makes Deb feel special? What is the one thing Deb loves? What is her favorite color, her favorite flower? Where does she like to go? So whenever I create these events for like birthdays, graduations, however you name it, because I love to do the events, was always not the same theme for everybody. It was what will make them feel special. That's what I brought into 5.5 North Farm, with the
That's
photography,
awesome.
with the picnics. Yeah. And you will figure that out. You'll just know this is going to be a feeling of this feels good. Okay.
So I love that personal touch. You are giving that personal touch. And I feel like every business, no matter what business you're in, you can do the same. Like you're doing it with the Christmas tree farm and your events and things like that, and giving that personal touch. I think all businesses, no matter what your business is, you can do the same. You can give that exceptional service or you can give that personal touch, and that will make all the difference in your business. So I really like that.
Yeah. Thank you. I definitely agree with that.
Well, you talk about community, connection, play a significant role in your life. From your Wise Words book club to your farm events, how can entrepreneurs create meaningful connections that foster growth and collaboration?
Oh, I love this question. Thank you. Number one is going to be leading with value. So when we're building connections, we're going to focus on what you can offer rather what you can gain. It should always be about giving, whether it's going to be like sharing knowledge, hosting events, listening to someone's story, reading their latest publication, whatever it may be. Through generosity is going to set the foundation for meaningful relationships. So I'll use the book club as an example. The book club started as a way to share wisdom and inspiration, but it's also grown into a supportive community that uplifts everyone involved, no matter what. So lead with value. And then two, we're going to be create spaces for authentication, for authentic interaction. So this is kind of a twofold for me, but people really love spaces. They crave spaces where they can just be themselves and that they can feel heard. So it could be a physical a place. This could be like farm events, a virtual one like we're doing now, online groups. It's anywhere really that you're going to encourage open dialogue and collaboration. And so by doing those two things, you foster trust and then you strengthen the bonds that drive your community growth. The reason I said it's twofold is because joining a Facebook group and going live with the entire group, asking you questions once or twice a week may be the most uncomfortable thing you've ever had to do. And it is for some, for me, it was very uncomfortable. I was so nervous, when we launched book club and went through the first live meeting. I'd never been on live before. I had never hosted before, but even when I look back through those things, nobody, and I mean nobody, focused on, wow, she looks a little nervous, the lighting might not be right. It was, wow, thank you, you guys, I learned this and this, and didn't see that I was doing this. So what I'm going to say is, some of those things may be a little uncomfortable for you to walk into a Thursday night group. But once you get to know the people and you understand that they're there to see you succeed, it's not the same circle of judgment like going to school where it's not the same. It's
Yeah,
totally
they
different.
just want to be there in a community, you know.
Yeah.
They want to
Yeah.
be with a community, and you provided a community, and they just want to be there and learn from each other.
Mhm.
And it's nice when you can find a community like that, that there is no judgment and you're just there to learn, or you're just there to be in a community with others.
Oh yeah, it's so much fun. I mean, I absolutely love the gift of chatting, but I won't just, or I didn't used to just go out and just meet people and chat. Now I'm like, hey, how are you? You're gonna know if somebody's gonna start talking to you or not, but I feel like I'm a lot more outgoing than I used to be as a result of being in groups that do not judge. They don't care how much money you have. They just say, oh, this person I know, this one wants to succeed. Everybody wants to succeed. And it doesn't have to be the same passion, I guess I'll say, is that a good one, or the same business model. One could be doing, this, one could be doing that. I'm
Yeah.
Christmas trees and 5 other things, but
Yeah.
we understand one thing, that we have a drive to help others and be
Mhm.
intentional about the way we're living, be our true selves, right? So
Mhm. I like that.
be intentional about networking is what I'm saying.
Well, and you did that when you talk about creating spaces, that for authentic interaction. You did that with the Wise Words Book Club, is creating a space that was very authentic. And so that was awesome. I love that. And then what do you mean by intentional networking?
Oh, yeah. Intentional networking, I'm going to say, is making sure that you're reaching out. I mean, I'm going to use a platform as an example. You write a blog every week, but you only put the blog on Facebook. You don't intentionally go out to put it on LinkedIn where your audience might be. Just that's what I mean by intentional, and making time, making sure that your calendar is full of times where I know I have every week. I meet Mondays with my mastermind. I meet every other Saturday with this group, and then always be looking for other ways to grow or for other networking opportunities. For example, you take your kid to the library, and you see a note, oh, we have a book club on Thursday nights once a month. Well, okay, this could be a good opportunity, just
Yeah.
be always, because you don't know who else you're going to run into that probably has or may have more experience, which is always good, but who is in a similar boat or said, oh my gosh, I thought about that. That is so exciting. And now you have a new person that's supporting you.
Yeah. Yeah. You never know what opportunities or people that you're going to meet. So
Right.
that
Yeah.
is awesome because, even just like how we met, you never know. You need to step out of your comfort zone and just say, hey, I'm just going to meet this person or whatever. And then you just never know what future opportunities that's going to bring. So that's a good
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
I love that about real connections. Real connections. That's what I'd say about intentional networking. Just don't just
Yeah.
hand out a business card and say, hey, here's my business, without people really
Right.
knowing you.
Yeah, I like that. Well, for those who might feel overwhelmed by starting something new, especially after years in one industry, what words of encouragement or strategies would you offer our audience to help them with that?
You got it. So, number one, start small, but build momentum. Just get started. That's number one. I always say, just hit go, right? Is that what we say? Just hit go. Because that small steps create momentum. Number two, you embrace your learning curve. So you're not expected to know everything from the start. None of us do. Even in, I'll use the cleaning business. I sold a cleaning business in Illinois. Built, and I'm still building a cleaning business, just a different this business here in Michigan. It's not the same process. I still have things to learn, embrace that learning curve. Didn't
Yeah.
know much about starting a farm either.
Yeah,
But
just get
anyway,
started. I like that.
yeah, well, your challenges are going to bring you opportunities to learn, to grow.
Mhm.
And you don't need permission from anybody else. You get to give yourself permission and make it exciting. So that's the start process. Very important, number three to me, because I thought I was one of those people who could just do it by myself. I'm
Mhm.
mentally strong. I can learn. I don't need a coach. Let me tell you what happened when I hired a coach. This is very, very important to me and my personal growth. Yes, I'm strong headed. Yes, I will get things done. But my entire world shifted. I would have never, and I mean never, had I been where I'm at, because I didn't understand why I thought the way I thought,
Mhm.
why this happened, that happened. I didn't understand what I needed to change. So hiring a coach that has the expertise, I mean, it was easy. I would do the studying, I would do the writing,
Mhm.
but the coaching provided guidance, clarity, mindset, accountability, but also the number one thing was, why do you think the way you do? Why do you think you are incapable of doing this when somebody else can?
Mhm.
Coaching also helps you avoid mistakes. It's going to push you to take bold actions on times when you feel like you can't. And it just pays off exponentially in the long run. I can 110% tell you that had I not invested in coaching and a mastermind group, that I never would have sold that business. I never would have moved here, because I would have always been talking myself out of the reasons why I couldn't. It's just
Mhm.
because I didn't know how to get past those mental blocks. I do now.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
that isn't that fun? I love that. But when you hire a coach, you're still gonna have times when you're doing the work, when you're gonna be maybe feel stalled or feel like you're not growing or have a challenge. This is the
Mhm.
number four, and why it's very, very important to have this written down, or at least have it do a mental check. Learn your why. So you're gonna lean into your why. Define what that means to you. Because when fear and doubt creeps in, why you're making this change will get you over that. You have to focus on your vision, the reasons behind your decision. For me, transitioning to a Christmas tree farm and starting new businesses was about aligning with my values, living an intentional life to me, which is do everything you want and nothing you don't. I still have to do things I don't, but I know that this is my family's legacy. That is what is important to me.
Mhm.
It's legacy. It's passing on how to, not put a limit on my children's imagination, not just my kids, anybody I meet. Maybe somebody that says, oh, I had this idea for a business, but I'm like, let's talk about it. How can we be intentional? How can we get you through these tough moments? So anyways, take some time with your why. And the other thing is, it might change a little. That's okay, because you're growing and evolving, but at least have that so that you can refer to it. And number five, this is equally as important, but is surround yourself with support. You find that support. I found that support in, yes, it was family and friends, but a lot of the support was in people that spent time with me every week and understood this is what she's going through right now. She's not going to be fully present, but we're still going to support her, and we're going to focus on, how she's going to come out of this stronger, and constantly reminded me to keep evaluating that, because it's too easy when you're down to stay down.
Mhm.
And so surround yourself with people who believe in you.
I
And
like that.
that it just makes all the difference in the world.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, starting something new doesn't mean that you have to leave everybody behind. It just means you're opening to new possibilities. So just take your first steps with confidence, and just know that the journey is going to shape you into your best you.
All right. So you have a free ebook, Intentional Living,
Mhm.
and offers actionable strategies for aligning life and work with purpose. Can you share a sneak peek of what readers will gain from it? And where can our audience grab a free copy and start living intentionally today?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm thrilled to share this ebook creation with you all. So I put together a few actionable strategies to help to help you align your life with your purpose in case because people just like, oh gosh, I don't really know where to start. But one of the highlights of the ebooks of this ebook is the worksheets that are designed to give you and guide you to identifying businesses that you can build around your passions. So creating passive income along the way as you're building businesses. So number one's you're going to find clarity on your life's purpose. And this is just through answering a series of questions that help you guide your way down. We also have the worksheets for identifying your income streams. And then number three is going to be an additional worksheet, some questions, insights on overcoming challenges that you may have along the way. It's going to be understanding like what to expect and how to overcome challenges. And we did talk about some of those through the meeting. And then number four is going to give you some practical tools to creating intentional habits, which is very important. We talked about that a little bit too. That's going to be books, masterminds, coaching, those kind of things. So by downloading totally free, by downloading the guide, you're going to be taking your first steps towards building a life that is purposeful and financially rewarding. So you can grab your copy today. I think we're going to have the link posted below for
Yeah.
for
Yes, we'll have
some.
the link. And so everybody can grab that free ebook, which is awesome. Thank you very much, Stephanie, for offering that. I'm sure everybody will get something out of it. So they should make sure they get that downloaded and grab that free ebook.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for your time today, allowing me to share part of my journey, and we'll look
Sure.
forward to
Well, I'd like to, though, ask one more question.
absolutely.
I like to ask all my guests, what is the driving force, the big why behind the work that you do and the impact you're striving to create in your industry? So, Stephanie, what is your why?
Oh, I love that question. And as I mentioned that it changes slightly for me, but my why is all about my family, my children, my husband, and creating my entire family legacy and breaking the old habits, breaking habits of, you can't do this, and discovering why those stayed with me. Because somebody can say, I don't know, you're not pretty. Let's just say I grew up with that, whatever. Oh, you're pretty. You're not pretty. Da, da. You can say to yourself, yes, I am pretty, but if you don't understand why or where that conditioning came from and why that happened, then you probably aren't going to get past that, if that makes sense. So uniqueness and really guiding people to understand why they think the way that they do, and that just because you might have something negative happen, it doesn't define you. It doesn't keep you in that space.
Mhm.
So just go find your wonderful and be uniquely you, and define what intentional living is to you.
I like that. Go find your wonderful.
Yeah, go find your wonderful. And that's what I love about it. Find your wonderful.
Well, Stephanie, thank you for sharing your journey, your insights, and practical strategies with us today. Your story is a testament to the power of pursuing dreams with creativity, authenticity, and a strong sense of purpose. I know our audience is walking away with valuable tools to apply to their own journeys. To everyone listening, take the inspiration and actionable advice Stephanie has shared and begin implementing into your life and business. The best time to start designing a life that you love is now. Thank you, Stephanie, for empowering us to dream boldly and take action. We're excited to see the incredible impact you will continue to make in 2025.
Thank you, Deb.